If everyone could find their seats. You know, whenever we plan these programs, so we never know what the response is going to be. And it's just an incredible testimony to the continued engagement of our shul and the Five Towns community, to so many different aspects of the matzav and the war and the support for all the different members of Israeli society that have been impacted and whose lives are forever changed by October 7th. This evening, we're going to be welcoming, they're not in the room yet, we're going to be welcoming Maya and Itay Regev. Maya will be presenting, as well as her father Ilan, who will be sharing the experience of not having just one, but having two children in captivity in Gaza. Before we welcome them, so Maya wanted us to see a video, which we shortened and we're going to show. It's about a half an hour. We're starting exactly on time so that when the video concludes, she will be here and we'll be able to embrace them. We thank all the sponsors who continuously make these types of programs and support of them possible. We thank you so much. Please direct your attention to the two screens. It's really so special. I just spoke to Ilan and Maya and Itay as we welcomed them. And I reminded them because, of course, how could they remember? But for all of us, especially on mission number 2 of our shul, we went to Tel HaShomer Hospital, and nearby is a center that supports families, Rakshay Lev. And there we had an opportunity. We had an opportunity to hear. We didn't know who we were going to hear from. And we heard from Maya. And Ilan was standing by her side. And we heard her story. And then at the end, I did what I did at many occasions throughout the trip, which was to invite them to our shul and to our community. And here they are. It is so special to have you all here with us, to give us a chance to host you, to embrace you. And there's a wonderful medrash that I want to start with, just to begin, but I first want to offer thanks. I would like to thank David Safarti of Osim Sameach for his incredible work in hospitals across Israel, and specifically for his heroic efforts with wounded chayalim and released hostages over the past year since October 7th. David was instrumental in this evening's wonderful program, and we thank him for all he has been doing. Thank you, David. Also want to thank Rabbi Shai Schachter for his continued for his continued efforts on behalf of all the hostages, those who have been released, and seeking the release of all the Chatufim. The dedication that he has given towards this effort on behalf of the Shul is really tremendous and needs to be recognized. So thank you, Rabbi Schachter. This week's Parsha is Parshas Nitzavim, and I'll just be very brief. In Parshas Nitzavim, Atem Nitzavim Hayom. You are standing here today. And there's a Medrash Tanchuma. The Medrash Tanchuma states, Ma hayom me'ir pa'amim u'ma'afil pa'amim. Just like the day sometimes is bright and light, but other times is quite dark. Afatem kesha'afel lachem. Just like at times when it's going to be dark for you, atid laheir lachem or olam. There will be a time when that darkness will be removed and there will be light. Emasai. Ask the Medrash, when will that be? Bizman shetiyu kulchem aguda achas. At a time when Klal Yisrael, the children of Israel, will be one. The Medrash says, Benoag b'sheva olam. The way it works in the world is that if you have a bunch of shelkanim, aguda, a bunch of reeds, even a regular strong person is unable to break them all. But one by one they can be broken. And says the Medrash that ultimately HaKadosh Baruch Hu at Motzei she'ein Yisrael nigalin ad shiyu kulan aguda achas. That our ultimate redemption is found in being one. And that is what tonight is all about. It's an embrace of a family that went through the horrors of October 7th. And Baruch Hashem, they are here. And they are here to share their story. But we know our prayers are with all the Chatufim still in Gaza, whether they are alive and seeking to be released and have freedom, whether they have been killed and deserve to have Kurat Yisrael Be'eretz Yisrael. Your presence here tonight, all of you, is part of that embrace. And we thank all of you, Ilan, Itay, and Maya, for giving us the opportunity to embrace you and to demonstrate that the light of the Jewish people will come ba'aguda achas when we're all together as one.
So hey everyone, before we start I want first of all thank all of you for coming here to hear our story, and thank you for all the support throughout since October 7. It's really exciting to see again every time that Jews all over the world are taking care to one each other, no matter if you live in Israel or if you don't. So again, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for everything that you've done for us. And that's it. I think I'll start and say that our story begins in Mexico, as you could see. We missed our first flight. We said to our mom that we have to be in the Nova Festival because we were really excited about it, and I knew that I'm going to meet Omer Shem Tov there after a long time that I hadn't saw him. And I think we both can say that the party was really great until 6:29. When the rocket started, we waited outside of the car because we knew that it's more dangerous to be inside of a car than outside when there are rockets. So we waited outside for about 40 minutes, and then the police told us that we need to start driving and get away from the party area. And we drove, and then they told us that we need to start running and leave the car behind. And so we did. We ran for about 1 hour, hour and a half, until Ori Danino, Zichrono Libracha, called Omer and told us that he's coming to take us. And he came and he told us that he knows how to get out of Re'im. At that moment, when the rockets first started, our father called us a bunch of times, and we didn't want to pick up the phone because we were really scared that he will hear all the gunshots behind. So at that moment, when we were in the car, I felt like something is wrong, and I decided to call him. So I called him, and the minute he picked up, we saw a big truck ahead of us, and 9 terrorists came off of it and started shooting at us, spraying us. I guess you heard the record of the phone call. So we would like to let you hear it one more time, and
מה קורה?
אבא ירובי! אבא ירובי! אבא ירובי!
לא, איפה את?
אני לא יודעת, אבא הורג אותנו, פושע גזע!
מה, איפה אתם? יואו, ממי, צריכים מיקום. תתחברו, תמצאו מקום, תתחברו.
אבא, אני אוהבת אותך, אנחנו בתוך הרכב, אי אפשר לצאת, עכשיו.
אני יוצא לכיוון שלכם עכשיו, צריכים מיקום. אני בא, ממי, צריכים מיקום, אלוהים.
סליחה. אני רוצה לומר שאני מאותו רגע שהשיחה נותקה, אני הבנתי שאני הולך לקבור 2 ילדים.
I realized from the moment that phone call cut off that I was about to bury 2 of my children.
הדבר הראשון שעשיתי זה לקחת את הנשק ונסעתי לכיוון המסיבה, לכיוון רעים.
First thing I did was I got my weapon and I jumped in the car to go toward the festival location.
לא עניין אותי משום דבר, חוץ מזה, הדבר היחיד שהיה לי בראש, שאני הולך להביא עכשיו את 2 הילדים האלה הביתה.
The only thing he thought is, I have a responsibility to bring my 2 children back home.
לא חשבתי על החיים שלי, זה לא עניין אותי בכלל. וזה מה שעשיתי. נסעתי תוך... אי אפשר להסביר את זה, אבל טסתי לשם והגעתי למחסום של המשטרה באופקים, שם עצרו אותי.
Elon did not think of anything about himself, only about saving his children, and he jumped in the car and went straight until he was stopped by the police by the Ofakim juncture.
ומפה התחיל יום ארוך ומייגע, כשאתה שומע שכל הזמן יש פצועים והרוגים ואתה לא יכול לעשות כלום.
And that began a very, very long journey of the day when you hear that there are so many people who are killed and injured, and you realize there's nothing that you can do to help.
אני יכול לומר שהייתי שם עד כמעט 12 בלילה, לבד, ושאני חוזר, הולך לבית חולים, לבדוק אם הם נמצאים ברשימה של הפצועים וההרוגים, וחוזר בחזרה לנסות להיכנס בחזרה לאזור המסיבה.
He couldn't get information about his children, so he kept going back and forth to the hospital to see if they were on a list of injured, and then kept going back to see if there was anything he could do near the border to try to find them.
ולהיכנס לא נתנו לי, ובשעה 12 בלילה בערך, כשאני בבית חולים, אני מקבל סרטון ובסרטון אני רואה את איתי ברכב מובל על ידי חמאס, שכוב מאחורה בטנדר.
At around midnight, 12 o'clock at night, he was in a hospital, and he saw somebody sent him a video of Itay, his son, who was in the back of the truck with Hamas terrorists driving the truck.
ומהרגע הזה אני יכול לומר שאני מעלה חיוך על השפתיים שלי, כי אני יודע שלפחות איתי בחיים.
It's hard to say, but at that moment, he was smiling, that at least he knew that his son Itay was alive, even though he was being taken hostage.
מבחינתי זה אבסורד מאוד מאוד גדול כשאני מבסוט, כשאני יודע שהבן שלי חטוף ונמצא בעזה אצל המפלצות האלו.
It's an unbelievable, overwhelming feeling to think about the fact that your son is in the hands of terrorists who are holding him hostage.
ומה עובר לאבא בראש? אי אפשר להסביר את זה. לעשות הכל, להביא את הילדים.
It's impossible to explain what goes through the mind of a parent, and all they think is, what can I do to try to bring my children home?
עליתי לשידור בכל רשת אפשרית בארץ, ובהזדמנות הראשונה שהייתה יצאתי משלחת משרד החוץ עם שר החוץ לרומא, ובהמשך גם נסעתי לז'נבה להיפגש עם הצלב האדום.
Ilan tried everything. He did interviews with any station that he possibly could in Israel, and then the first opportunity there was to go outside of Israel, he joined the Misrad HaChutz, the Sar HaChutz, the minister, and they went together to Rome and then to Geneva to meet with the Red Cross.
בצלב האדום נפגשתי עם ראשת הצלב האדום, ובאמת באותו רגע השמעתי לה את ההקלטה, ומה שהיא עשתה זה פשוט הורידה את הפנים שלה למטה ואפילו לא הסתכלה לי בעיניים.
He met with the head of the Red Cross and he played that message for her, that phone call. She couldn't even look him in the face, she just looked down.
ואמרתי לה, אני בטוח שאת אימא, אז תביני מה עובר על אבא ששומע שזו השיחה האחרונה מהבת שלו. את צריכה להביא לנו מידע וסימן חיים על הילדים, זה התפקיד שלכם.
You're a mother, he said to her, you know what it means for a parent to be worried about their child, and imagine, he asked her, imagine to yourself what it means to know that that was the last phone call you had with your daughter. Your responsibility is to get my children back and to give us information about them.
המשכנו, גם עירית וגם אני, לעשות הכל, כל מה שאפשר, אבל בשביל זה צריך המון, המון כוח, כשאין לך שום מושג מה קורה.
Both parents tried to do everything in the world that they could, every effort, but you need a lot of energy to be able to continue to fight and to be able to advocate for your children.
שואלים אותי הרבה, מאיפה קיבלת כוחות להתמודד עם זה?
Many people asked Ilan, where do you get the energy and the strength to be able to overcome and to deal with such a challenge?
אז אני חייב לומר, הדבר הראשון זה האמונה. האמונה שלי הייתה כל כך חזקה, שידעתי שהילדים שלי יבואו.
The first thing is that he had a complete faith, a positive faith, that his children would come home. He was sure of it.
לא ויתרתי לרגע. ואני צריך להבין שיש לי עוד ילד בן 15 בבית.
Ilan didn't give up for a second, and that's something that kept giving him strength. But beyond that, he also has a 15-year-old son in the house.
אני חייב לומר שמהרגע שהם נחטפו, היה לנו ספר תורה בבית, בחדר של הילדים, קבוע, לא יצא עד שהם הגיעו הביתה.
From the moment that the kids were taken, they had a Sefer Torah in the room of both of them, and it didn't leave the house until they returned.
מירית הייתה עושה כמעט כל יום הפרשות חלה, מדליקה נרות ומתפללת.
Their mother did Hafrashat Chala and Tfilah almost every day, all the days that they were in captivity.
ויש באחד הימים לקראת תחילת, זה היה בתחילת נובמבר, אני קיבלתי טלפון מאדם שאני לא מכיר. הוא שמע אותי ברדיו מדבר והוא התקשר אליי.
One day in the beginning of November, there was somebody who he does not know, has no relationship with, who called him after he heard an interview on the radio.
קוראים לו יהודה פרום.
His name is Yehuda From.
הוא אמר לי, לך לבית קברות, לקבר של חזון איש, ותעשה שם כמה דברים שהוא ביקש ממני לעשות, וחזרתי אחרי זה הביתה, ולמחרת בבוקר הוא התקשר אליי.
He gave him advice that he should go to Bnei Brak, to the kever of the Chazon Ish, and he should do a bunch of different things there. He did it one night, he came back, and the next morning this man Yehuda called him again.
השיחות שלי בטלפון כולן מוקלטות.
Every phone call is recorded.
אני אשמיע לכם את השיחה שלי איתו, שהיא קצת מקוצרת, אבל אני אשמיע לכם אותה.
He's going to play the phone call that this Yehuda had with him, so everyone will be able to hear.
בוקר טוב.
בוקר אור.
בוא, תראה, בוא, אני אגיד לך דברים, אם אתה לא יודע כלום, אז אני אגיד לך מה שאני יודע. שתי ילדים שלך חיים ברוך השם. עכשיו, הבת שלך, יש לה פציעה ברגל, פציעה קטנה ברגל, אבל זה לא משהו מיוחד.
איך אתה יודע?
מהשמיים. שתיים יחזרו הביתה. אתה מקבל את שתיים חזרה. אתה שומע אותי?
כן.
שתיים יחזרו הביתה בזה השם. אין לך מה לדאוג. בקרוב, מתי בדיוק אני לא יודע, לא יכול להגיד לך. גם יכול להיות שלא שתיים ביחד, כל אחד לחוד. אבל בקרוב בעזרת השם, אתה תקבל אותם.
זה כמו שאני הרגשתי שהיא פצועה ברגל.
כן, הנה, אז אתה רואה.
אני הרגשתי את זה, כולם אמרו לי.
כן, אבל זה לא פציעה רצינית, ככה שזה היא לא בית חולים, לא שום דבר, היא נמצאת... עכשיו, הם נמצאים במקום אחד ביחד, אני לא בטוח שהבת שלך והבן שלך ביחד, הם שני מקומות כאן בידי.
זה אני יודע שהם לא ביחד בתחושות.
זהו, הם לא ביחד, והבת שלך תחזור קודם. נובמבר, דצמבר, זה ייגמר, זה הסיפור. אני מקווה שיהיה הרבה יותר קודם. תחזיק מעמד, תגיד תהילים, תשתדל לא להיות עצוב, כי בעצבות, אז המזל, זה מפריע למזל להיכנס.
אני יודע.
השם ישמור אתכם, השם יעזור לכם, תתחזקו ותצפו שכל רגע לקבל את הבשורות הדורות.
תודה.
שכולם וכל עם ישראל.
תודה. מי אתה, יהודה?
מה?
מי אתה?
אני הבן של רבנו של עולם. אני כבר בעשר.
כולנו.
כן, נו, אני אגיד לך מה. אני כבר קיבלתי מתנה מאלוהים שאני אדם מיסטי, קיבלתי מתנה שאני יכול, למשל, יש לי כוח חזק שלי זה ברפואה. אני יכול להגיד לך על כל... שבן אדם לא יודע מה יש לו, רופא מאוד דבר אחד, אני יכול להגיד לו שזה לא נכון וזה כן נכון, אני יכול להגיד לו מה אני צריך להצליח או לא, אם כדאי לעשות אותו או לא, אני בודק בספר תהילים, אני מסתכל בתהילים, אני יודע לומר מה שאני אומר.
תודה. תודה רבה.
בשורות טובות, תחזיק מעמד.
תודה. תודה, ידידי, אנחנו נדבר עוד.
I'm just going to give a brief summary of what that conversation was. This Yehuda called Ilan one day and told him that he has an update about his two children. He told him that your son was shot. It was a terrible injury, but it's not something that is life-threatening. He'll be okay. But I'm telling you, both of your kids are going to come home. And he started giving descriptive details of everything that was happening with them, of where they were being held, together, not together. And he said, they're both going to come home. Your daughter's going to come home before your son. And finally, Ilan asked him, who are you? How do you know this information? Who are you? And he said, Ani ben shel ribono shel olam. I'm a child of God. And he asked him, well, how do you know these secrets, this information about my children? And he said, we have a tradition in my family that we read Tehillim very carefully, and we can see stories. We can understand things that are going on in the world from reading the prakim of Tehillim properly. And that's the information that I'm sharing with you.
זה אחד הדברים, ואני בכלל כבן אדם שהוא מאמין, שמתפלל כל יום מגיל 12, והאמונה שלי כל כך חזקה, אני לא הולך עם כיפה. אני מתפלל כל בוקר, ואני מאמין בבורא עולם, וזה אחד הדברים שחיזקו אותי, שכל מה שהוא אמר, אחד לאחד קרה. הכל מלמעלה. ובאמת.
Ilan is a believer. He davens every day. He has a very strong sense of emunah before October 7th. And he said, this man who had these conversations with him gave him so much strength and so much chizuk because he understood everything is milamala. Everything is from Hashem. And we should all just know that every single description that was shared with him by this Yehuda came true. Every single thing that he said actually happened.
ואני רוצה גם להגיד לכולם, באמת, אחד הדברים זה להאמין באמונה שלמה, לא לוותר לרגע, ללכת עם האמונה עד הסוף. בסוף דברים מסתדרים.
Ilan's message to our community is that if one has very strong faith, you should never give up on anything, because you should keep pushing and believing. And he saw that in the end, things worked out because of his emunah.
קרו בכל התהליך הזה, בכל התקופה הקצרה הזאת, ב50 יום, שמאיה לא הייתה, כל כך הרבה ניסים, שאי אפשר להסביר אותם. זה לא מעשה אדם, זה רק כוח עליון. הילדים שלי פה בגלל כוח עליון, וזה מה שאני יכול לומר. רק תודה לבורא עולם.
So now I'm gonna tell you a little bit about our story. I'm gonna pick few days that were important to us throughout all the time that we've been there. I don't want to call it important, more like the one that we remembered the most, and the one that gave us the power to keep going and never give up. So on October 7, after that phone call, about 5 minutes later, we were already inside Gaza. And I also know that my father's phone records every phone call that he has, and I'm thinking to myself that now he has to live with this phone call for the rest of his life. And I also know that that he would take himself and drive to Re'im, and I was also really scared because I thought to myself, either he will get killed, kidnapped, or someone, I don't know how, will stop him and nothing would happen to him. And I didn't know what happened to him until I got home. So 5 minutes later, we already drove inside Gaza. They took us to a tunnel, and then they saw that mine and my brother injuries were really bad. The bullet hit my bone and crushed 6 centimeters of it, and the bullet didn't came out. It stuck inside. It burned me from the inside, and like a lot of nerves and all the other stuff. And also Itay bullet didn't got out. They took us to the hospital. Before they took us inside, we were staying in the car in the parking lot over there for around, I think, 10-15 minutes, and it was really hot, and we were starting losing a lot of blood. And I remember saying to Itay that I can't talk anymore, and I feel like I'm going to faint, and then I need to keep enough air for me to keep breathing. And I'm saying goodbye. I'm saying that I love him and that I know that he will come home to mom and dad and Guy, our little brother, and that I want him to tell them that I love them. And like a second later, someone opened the door and just pulled me inside, and so is Itay's. And when they took Itay, they took out the bullet with the tweezers without any anesthesia, while a terrorist standing above him and screaming at him and telling him to be quiet. So it was a really, really hard time to do, because you're in a lot of pain and you just don't know how to react, because you just got kidnapped and you are completely shocked from everything that's going on. And when they took me, they didn't took care of my leg. They just put some bandage on it and sent me away. After this, we were in a house for around a week, and then they took me to the hospital again and did surgeries after 8 days. On October 15, I had surgeries, and then they took the bullet out and put some external fixation. There I met, in the hospital, I met Guy Iluz, זיכרונו לברכה. We had a day and a half together. We got to talk to each other, get to know each other. Finally, I had some company, and also he had me. He told me about his family, I told him about mine. And after a day and a half, I wake up from a knock on the door. They came to change something to him, and he didn't woke up. He died from his wounds because they didn't took care of him at all. And from this moment, I knew that I need to stay alive, not only for myself and for my family, also for Guy's family, because I have to tell them what's happening with him. Because I know that they probably are worried about him, and they need to know that he died and how he died. And I felt like I have to do it for him, so his family knew. I stayed in a hospital for the next 54 days. I was released after 50 days. And I want to talk about a little bit about Itay and Omer experience. Itay and Omer were together the whole time. I didn't saw them since the last time I saw them was on October 12th, when they switched my bandage at home, at the house that we were, and there was one time at the hospital that somebody gave me like a bunch of grape juice, and I remembered by seeing it that it's Itay's favorite thing on earth. So I asked one of them if he could give it to Itay, and I didn't really know what's happened with that, with my request. And when I came home, Itay told me that he and Omer always talked about what they missed the most at home, and it was always Kiddush on Friday. And they were always talking about it. And there was one day that somebody came to their house with grape juice, and they thought that maybe God heard them. So since that day, they did Kiddush every Friday. They would pour all the grape juice into like a small cup, drink a little sip, and then put it back again into the bottle so they could reuse it. And also they had like some bagels, and there was remains of salt in the bottom of the bag, and they always used it with a little bread to do a motzi. And they would always say to each other that next Friday they're gonna do it together at home. And we want to believe that Omer still has the bottle, and he keeps doing Kiddush. And also Omer know the Kiddush perfectly, so he would like say it all the time. And another story is that there was one day we kept hearing IDF bombing everywhere. And there was one day it was extremely strong, and Itay says that that day there was like a bombing that lasts like 2-3 minutes, that 10 buildings fell one by one, and all of them were like around their house. And ever since that day, because their building didn't fall, they felt like they're not scared anymore, and there is someone that's keeping them safe, and there's someone up there that is listening for their prayers, and they just felt like more calm and felt like everything is going to be okay. They never stopped believing even for a second. And I want to tell you that we never stopped believing, not even for a second. We kept just thinking about our parents, and that they don't even know what's happening with us, and we just miss them so much, and we have to come home again just to hug them and tell them that we're okay, and we were worried about them, because lose two kids and get them both back, it's a miracle. Especially if you look about what happened on October 7th, not many families got to reunited with the loved ones. So it's really crazy, and ever since then we believed that we believe in even more. We always believed, but now even more, that someone is now at this moment keeping Omer safe and all the other 100 hostages that are still there. And I also want to talk a little bit about Omer. Omer and I know each other for 8 years now, and we got kidnapped together, and we didn't got to return, the three of us together, but I know we will, and I know that Omer will come home, and I hope it will be as soon as possible, him and all the other 100 hostages. And I just want to say that, again, thank you, everyone, and it's really amazing that you came all this way just to listen to our story, and we are here because we know it's so important to come and share our story, because I know it gives you a lot of power, and just keep doing what you're doing for us, for Israel, and for all the hostage families. And I just want to let you know that it's really amazing to see how much Jews all over the world just take care of one another, and it means a lot to the families. It just always says that if you want to do something, just don't stop talking about them, not even for a second. We can't let the world forget what they did to us on October 7th, because it's the world starting to forget and only to remember what happened on October 8th. And being there for the families, it means a lot to them. It just let them see that they're not alone, and I can say that also it gave tons of power to my parents. They just kept talking about how much everybody just took care of them and helped them, and really did anything that they asked for when they needed help. And it's really amazing, everything that you're doing. And I think that's it. Thank you again for everything.
We just want to thank you again for sharing words that we know are not easy. Those recordings are so gripping. And to share your story with all of us, but to know that you're doing it because we know that there are hostages that are still there. We will continue to do everything that we can for Omer and for all the Chatufim to bring them home. And we appreciate everything that you're doing. We know this is not easy. Hashem should give you the bracha to have the strength to be able to tell your story and to keep the story of the hostages alive until each and every one is home. We're just going to call upon our community member, Rabbi Shlomo Reif of the Shar program, who's just going to lead us in a few songs to close out the evening, a few songs of Amunah and hope in Am Yisrael and the Jewish people.
Okay, after such inspiration, how could we not sing together the words from this week's Parsha that talks about how the Torah and how Tshuva is so accessible to us? So let's sing together. It's right there. All we have to do is grab it. Please sing with me. Ki karoi ve'elecha hadavar me'yor beficha u'vilvacha la'asoi tzor.
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Oy, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu Chai. O Davinu Chai, Oy, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu. Hey, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Oy, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. O Davinu Chai, hey, O Davinu Chai. O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu. Hey, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai, O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu, Abba.
We thank you all for coming. We wish everyone Shabbat Shalom. And just a very important announcement. And that is, if you're not on the WhatsApp chat yet, we have a WhatsApp chat. 2,000 people send out letters each and every day. It's so easy. We'll send it out again tomorrow. And if you want to volunteer, they need some volunteers to step forward. But at the very least, you and all your family members should be part of this WhatsApp chat. advocating on behalf of Israel each and every day. Everyone should have a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much.